Hello everyone and welcome to Cable 14's Generation Z. I'm your host Amanda Pope. So with this new year coming along and just getting started, I think a really important thing to do is to just reflect on what you're doing with your business, but also how you can make a difference. Because I think as business owners here in Hamilton, ultimately we're here to serve our community and make our community a better place. And ultimately that's what leaders do. So that's our topic for today. We're going to be talking about what you can do to impact our community for the positive. We're going to be talking about what investors look for in startups. But right now, I'm here with the CEO of the Carmens Group, PJ Mercanti, and we're going to be talking about what it means to be a true leader. So thank you, PJ, for being on the show with me today. How are you?
Good, thank you, Amanda.
Good.
It's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, I'm happy, and I love your positive energy. I always know, I've known you now for about 4 years almost, and every single time I have a conversation with you or I talk to somebody else about you, it's always the enthusiasm that we recognize in you.
Well, thank you.
And I think that's a great quality for a leader, which is what we're talking about today. So why don't you just talk about what you do, your journey, and maybe the biggest lessons you've learned regarding leadership over the past years?
Sure. So Carmens Group is a proud Hamilton company founded by my father and my uncles over 40 years ago. Actually, this year we're celebrating our 40th anniversary, our 40th year in business.
And congratulations.
And, thank you. We're very proud about that. And we love Hamilton, and we have some of Hamilton's most beloved venues. Carmen's, the Sea Hotel, we run the Hamilton Convention Center, the Lakeview, and Dundas Valley Golf and Curling Club. And we've come a long way in those years and have evolved. As the city's evolved, as the market has evolved, we've kept up with the times and have innovated ourselves. And we've got a lot of exciting things that we're looking forward to in the future. We've recently relocated our corporate offices into downtown Hamilton, to James Street and King William, right where the Mercanti family immigrated over 60 years ago into Hamilton. So it's nice that we're coming full circle to where it all began. And it's been quite a journey. My father and my uncles started Carmen's because they had a passion for food, a passion for community, and it started as a bakery 40 years ago on Concession Street. And you know, today we've taken the lessons that my father and my uncles have taught us, and now we're applying it to our staff and to our city and with our strategy. But I've learned a lot of great leadership lessons from them. And I, in turn, am trying to be my own version of a leader to take the company to the next level. And
what would you say those leadership lessons are, if you could give one or two?
Oh, wow. So one thing that my father and uncles always had was a vision and a standard of what they wanted the company to represent. So that's a very important thing. You need to give your staff a reason to come to work, to get them excited, and have a plan of what you'd like to achieve. Secondly, and I learned this from them as well, you need to have values in the organization, have the right culture, the right vision, the right mission, the right values in the organization, and the leader has to live those values. It's hypocritical if they do not, and so it's important that the right culture exists, the right ecosystem for success to thrive is alive within the organization. And last, I think that leaders need to be humble, need to listen to their employees, need to be servant leaders in a big way, and you know, get into the grind with their team, listen to their team, and be there for their people. I think that's a critical function of leaders, and my father and my uncles have done that well, and my brother and I and our executive team are trying to do the same thing. So I think it's important ultimately to have a good strategy and to deliver great, you know, product, whatever that may be, to have a great culture, and to be a humble leader as well.
And I like what you said, to be a humble leader, because with being humble, it's recognizing that you're not perfect and you're going to make mistakes. And I'm sure over your career, you've probably done some things you wish you didn't, or made a decision you wish you could have made a different decision instead. So what's your advice with coping with making mistakes and kind of coming to the conclusion that it's okay not to be perfect?
I think it's important to accept that mistakes are going to happen. It is inevitable in one form or another, and owning up to it and accepting them. I've certainly made mistakes with different initiatives and things, but I've always learned from them. It's important that you make a mistake, but you learn from it and try not to repeat the same mistake twice. That's critical. And there's a line from the Rocky movies. Take the hits, but keep moving forward.
Yeah.
And I think that that's important to realize, is that there will be things that will inevitably go a way that we didn't anticipate or plan, and that's okay. That's life. It's about pivoting and reacting and learning from what happens and improving yourself, improving your company because of the mistakes that happen. A lot of times the greatest insights come out of mistakes.
Yeah.
And I've learned amazing things from my staff, from my customers, things that I didn't do well, and it's helped to develop the organization into what it is today, and helped develop me to be the leader that I am today.
Yeah.
Mistakes pave the way to success.
Exactly, and I think that's really great that you recognize that and you understand that, because if you don't, that's when you're not so good of a leader, right? So what are those things that we should avoid for wanting to be a good leader? What should we avoid? Sure.
So, and there's a lot of things, and everybody will have their different ideas around this. But for myself specifically, one thing that I avoid is yelling and being emotional in the office. I think that leaders need to be very strong and not raise their voice and belittle employees. I think that they need to certainly control their emotions.
Yep.
I think secondly, leaders need to listen to their team.
Yep.
I think that that's a big thing, and again, it goes back to being humble. Yeah. I think not micromanaging employees is critical as well.
Yeah.
I think leaders need to give their employees space to be able to do their job and to coach them to be better employees. And I think ultimately leaders need to avoid inaction. And what do I mean by that is people count on the leaders to make decisions, to solve conflicts, to pursue new strategic directions, and there's nothing worse than inaction.
Yeah.
I think that and people will certainly have an opinion on leadership, but it's important that leaders move the organization forward and make the tough decisions that will move the organization forward by not confronting the difficult realities in a business. It's dangerous. So the leaders need to lean into issues that are difficult and take those bold actions.
Yeah, and that makes perfect sense. And thank you for giving those tips, because even for me, being an employer, those are really good tips for me, because sometimes you forget about what you should be doing and what you shouldn't be doing. So thanks for coming on the show today. And I hope that you take the advice too for being a leader, whether you're an employer or an employee. It's great to have those leadership qualities. So you're going to want to stick with us, because after the break, we're going to be talking about what investors are looking for in a startup. Stick with us.